Good morning, everyone. How are you? It's Louisa Munson from the Barefoot Broadcast, and wow, welcoming you back to another show. This is midweek now. I changed the schedule actually a little bit because it was quite a lot of work I was doing. So it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday now until the end of the year. I can see we're already joined by Siri saying hi from Norway, and we've also got Owen Lloyd Martin with a morning from up in northern Portugal. Please do join us in the chat room if you want to say hello or comment or share some of your thoughts and feelings. Because today we've got a really great title, which came from lovely, lovely Sarah Taylor, who you've probably seen on this show before. And if you haven't, then please do check out her other shows. I will put the links below in the description. But she came up with this amazing question, which is who and what are the catalysts for change in our lives that we have misidentified as our enemy? Now, it's a bit of a mouthful. However, I love that bit at the end, that we have misidentified as our enemy. So let's bring Sarah on now and let's just dive into it. I'm hoping Jay Atkinson will join us as well. But she's normally here by now, so I'm guessing she's got a really good reason as to why not. But let's bring Sarah on now and give her a warm-hearted welcome. Hey!
Hello.
How are you? How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I love this title. What inspired you?
Oh, wow. Well, as probably people are aware, this huge full moon eclipse that we just experienced.
Yeah.
And basically, I think it was from something you had said to me that I have a lot of hidden, or maybe everyone. I don't know if it was for me or for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
but it was the idea that um, there's a lot of hidden triggers from
Mm-hmm.
old stuff that
Yeah.
you're not even aware that that's the thing that's triggering you,
Yeah.
and that it was a good time for that to come out. So silly me, and I'm glad I did it too. What I actually said at the beginning of the month or in the middle of the month, I'm ready for this stuff to show itself to me.
Famous
Like,
last word.
show yourself. Because I mean, I'm all about improvement. I really want to improve my experience, and I want to improve who I am as a person. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that we have to look at these hard things. So anyway, I asked I was like, "Okay, I'm ready. Like, bring it on." And there were some little things throughout the month, but the
Mm-hmm.
night of that lunar eclipse, which was it Sunday? Monday.
Saturday, Sunday. No,
Okay.
Sunday. Sunday. It was the 28th, whatever day that
Okay.
was. I lose track of time.
So I about half an hour before the eclipse was supposed to take place, I get a message from somebody that I haven't spoken to for 22 years, haven't heard from for 22 years,
Ooh.
and a friend request. So a friend request and a
From that
message.
same person?
Yeah. Uh, and I didn't realize how much uh, I was harboring for this person. When I say harboring, it means like they were holding a space in my unconscious that um I wasn't aware that I was doing that.
Yeah.
Like, and so I was like, why is this person getting a hold of me? Like, what do they
Mm,
want? You
mm,
know? Um and I had the opinion that basically they did damage to me somehow, or
mm,
they actually uh effed up my life in a way or whatever. So I
mm,
get this message and I'm sitting there and I'm doing this as I'm doing with you, like, why are they And then I just went, okay, use your own friggin' toolbox, Sarah. Like, okay, help yourself. So, so I just said, what is right about this that I'm not getting?
Oh, I love that question.
And then I asked Dan to pour me a glass of rum.
Yeah.
So then we went out and sat underneath of we actually could see it through the clouds. The eclipse came, and then I realized I think it was just right after it went through, and I went through my little motorcycle thing of all the reasons, like, what the hell? Why is this
Mm,
person getting a hold of me? And I went, oh, if they wouldn't have reached out to me, and if they wouldn't have done exactly what they did 22 years ago and before,
mm,
I would have stayed in an abusive relationship longer.
mm.
I actually blamed that person for breaking up my relationship. But if they wouldn't have done what they did, I would have stayed in it longer. They stayed,
Okay.
and that's how I would look at it. So it's just like these people, they're just playing a part. It's
Mm,
not about the people, is what I was getting. I just
yeah.
felt so free. It's not about the person. It's about the part that they're playing.
Yeah. So
They're acting.
So that's where you came up with that fantastic. I was really wondering, oh, what's going on to come up with such a great question, and it's great because when I saw that question, I realised, and I love your term harboring. You know, that you're harboring something.
Mm.
I realised I'm harboring a few people. I'm harboring a few skeletons. We've got Jay who's arrived, and
Oh,
let's
yay.
bring her on because I'm sure Jay has got some initial thoughts about this title.
Yeah.
Morning, Jay. How are you, my
Hi,
love?
darling.
Hello.
I'm having a hair day. Look, I'm
Oh,
just.
you know what? I had a little bit of my hair and it's a bit
Oh,
today as well.
it's not doing
Um,
it. It's not.
Jay, meet Sarah. Sarah, meet Jay. I know
Hello,
you.
Hi,
my
Jay.
darling. Hi, you're lovely. Oh, I'm so excited about this. I was thinking
Me
about it prior
too.
to coming on. I had a few technical issues, so I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. But
Fine.
what I was going to say was, I was thinking about you both in the week, and I thought, this is just turning into the most amazing woman girly chat show. Whoever's
Yeah.
on, whether we've got men on or women on or whatever, whatever your choice, it's a wonderful chat show, and it just
Yeah.
uplifts me, and I look forward to it so much. I really
Oh.
do.
I
And
love
I
it.
was listening to what you were just saying, Sarah, and it was really resonating with me so much, as I knew it would, kindred spirit, And when you said, oh, what is this person, something about getting a hold of me, it suddenly something inside me went off, and I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because when they try to get a hold of you, they have got a hold over you.
Yeah.
These catalysts that trigger us, it's like, no, don't hold on to me. You can't hold me. I am
Oh,
here of my own volition, and unless I am, you are not needed in my life. But having said that, they are wonderful for doing that, and I've had that big time in my life. So I really got that.
oh
Thank you for that.
gosh.
I love
Well,
that. And we've got Owen saying a sweet sensation with the Soul Sisters. And they're
Oh,
beautiful.
oh, bless Owen and the Soul Sisters. We could be a Motown
we're
group.
a bit, yes.
Yeah. And I noticed in the comments, get a hold of me. That statement is so multifaceted, Jay. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
I just been switched on to a creator on YouTube called Carrie B Wellness, and I've been looking at a few different things from the perspective of water and energy because I don't know,
Oh,
like
yeah.
our recent conversations, and then I know you, Jay, and I have been doing some work with Vinny, and it's been going kind of global and cosmic in my experience.
Yeah.
I know it has for you as well. I'm looking forward to talking about that at some point. And so I really wanted to focus on frequency. And this Carrie B Wellness, she oh, and look, we're joined by Benjamin Stubbs. Hey up, ladies.
Oh, he's come
Whoa,
through.
hello.
Oh, darling, I
What a lovely
hello.
party we're having. And Carrie B, I listened to this little, it was a very short little podcast, and it was about are we carrying trauma in our fascia? You know, like in the
Yes.
just underneath our skin, and how the little points of fascia, and it ties into water and stuff like that. And so when you were talking about the catalyst for change in our life that we've misidentified as our enemy, I realized since I've been harboring 3 people that happened all within 9 months of each other, my body has been really creaky and groany. And I think I'm holding a lot of this in my waters.
Yes.
So I'm really excited is basically what I was trying to say. That's the headline of what I was saying.
Excuse me.
Great topic.
Yeah.
So who should we, Sarah, you look like you're ready.
Well, it's when Jay, you mentioned, that thought of how dare this person get a hold of me, or what you want.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, and I forgot to mention this. So I had a list of people that I had blocked, we'll say. So,
Yes.
and when I say blocked, I mean on social media, and I did it as soon as social media existed, and I knew there was a way to block people. Like, this is how far back.
It's a revelation, isn't it? So, oh my God, I can block them.
So I went in and I had this list of people that I blocked, and then in January or February, just this year, I don't know who said it, but they said, when you have these blocks up, you're not you're not trusting yourself that you can handle a confrontation or them reaching out. You're not trusting yourself. You feel like and I think there's some truth to that, because I still left some of them on the block list where I really don't trust myself. But there were some that were older, and I was like, you know what? I'm ready for this. If it happens, I'm going to unblock, and this is one of the people that I
Wow.
unblocked.
Wow.
And I will say another person that I unblocked, I actually had a really good conversation with, and I wanted to talk to them. But this person,
Wow.
I don't need to talk. I don't need to talk to this person. But it was amazing what them reaching out created in me. I felt so free, because I was like, oh, it's not because you're a friggin' dickhead. You were just playing a part that actually made my life better faster.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Wow. That's
Oh my
brilliant.
God.
Yay.
So we have
Oh,
characters. We have characters that are helping us play our part faster by
yeah.
them coming in and stirring us up.
Yes. Yes, because if this wouldn't have taken place, then I would have definitely tried to continue working at something that was never going to work. So
Yeah.
I would have done more time in jail.
Yes.
Yes. Unnecessarily as well. Wow. This is really resonating with me. And I don't know. You carry on talking, because I've
Oh
got a
no,
story too.
that's all.
No,
That's all I wanted to say, was that I unblocked, and I've made the space for this person to reach out to me, not because I wanted them to consciously, but that I knew that I was going to be able to handle, um, and look after myself properly if they should happen to.
May I just
Wow.
talk a little about why I love what you've just said, and then Jay, I'd love for you to share, your story. I love that you're saying that about handling, because I was listening to something I think earlier this year that suggested that where we're trying to block ourselves from when we're trying to protect ourselves, we're stopping the full potential of life from reaching us. And like how people say, like I know people that say, have you put up your psychic boundaries? Have you protected yourself? Have you done this, that, and the other? And I don't really hold that as a practice, I have to say. And loads of people go, oh, you should. But it feels kind of weird for me to do that. But if I do that, I imagine what I want to keep out, and then I imagine what I want to bring in. But of course, the moment you're putting in those constructs of what you're happy with and what you're not, you're stopping the flow of everything. which suggests that you know better than the creative source. And it was, Sarah, it was all the access consciousness stuff that I started listening to earlier this year that helped me think, well, hang on, if I'm stopping the flow from some things, how do I know what my best good is? I always thought I did. But, you know, like with internet dating and stuff, I said I wanted to find a man who'd never been married, never had kids, wanted kids. And in fact, like life knew better and sent me a man who'd had kids with 2 different women and who never wanted to get married and didn't want any more children. And, you know, sometimes you have to meet these people. So, like, you know, what we're putting out there might not be in our best interests. So I really love what you said, because I've felt that in my own life. And when you're trying to hide whilst also trying to be seen, you can't do it.
Yeah.
I will say, I think there is a time when, I mean, at the time, 22 years ago, I really did require to protect myself.
Yeah.
I was, you know, I did feel like I was in danger.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's real danger, and then there's the danger that we've perceived, we've had a trauma, and then we're holding it like it's still going on.
Yeah.
When the reality is if you ran into this person, they might be the ones quivering and walking the other way, you know, in shame.
True.
That's
Yeah.
just a little fantasy I'm having, that it doesn't matter if they have shame or not. But I mean, the
God.
reality is that you're safe now, and that's the thing. And I even said to my husband this morning, I was like, "Am I even safe to talk about this?" Like,
Oh,
think
Must have
about
been
that.
really, really major.
yeah. Yeah.
How many years later, and the fact that I'm on a completely different continent, and I still,
Yes.
you know, wonder, and it's just really bizarre that would even be there, because that that I am safe. And also,
Yeah.
Louisa, I just want to add in, um, would you were talking about the barriers, and you know, have you protected yourself from, you know, the, I forget what you said, the community, like where people will say, oh, did you put up all the things that you needed to do, stand on one leg and cluck like a chicken and go around the room with a sage, you know, and send love and light Jay, right, to everybody? Did you do all that stuff? Because if you didn't,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you didn't do that.
Oh my
So
God.
my
Yes.
question is, would an infinite being really require that type of protection?
Exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
And that's a good point, because I realized when I said that, it made it sound like I'd actually released all of my boundaries, and whilst I don't put boundaries up necessarily each day or each moment or focus on safety and protection,
Yeah.
I do have a few people that are on my naughty list that I've blocked from view.
Yeah.
And maybe if I don't think that there's an imminent danger from one of them, maybe I'll reverse that decision. So it's like you're not blocked, but if you mess around,
Yeah.
that's it. And I think in future I'll probably have a sort of like, you know, you do it once, you're out. In the past, I've been like, hurt me some more. Go on.
Yeah.
Go on, do it. But we live and learn.
Wow.
Mm.
Oh, there's so much in
Yeah.
this, honestly. I'm buzzing. It's like I can see so many things that I want to jump in with. It's like, where do I begin? Because I had as people, as close people that know me know, I had a personal nemesis for many, many, many years. And it was a woman, and she passed away a couple of years ago. And I was so shocked that when I heard that she'd passed, I expected to feel, oh, thank God I'm free. In actual fact, I'd freed myself from her hold many years before. However, her energy still, she still eclipsed me. And at times when the eclipse energies were around, I could feel it even more so, you know, and I think that's what these eclipse things do. Who's shadowing you? Who's eclipsing you? Where are you eclipsing yourself, in fact, you know?
Wow.
And this person came into my life when I was about 17. So I was very, very young and very impressionable. So as a kind of disjointed, dysfunctional family member, I was ripe for the picking. I really was. It later turned out this person was diagnosed as a sociopathic narcissist. No surprise
Perfect.
there then. I had never even heard of that, until recently. But, suffice to say, I survived the experience, and thank God, because I'm in touch with people who know her and have gone through a similar experience, because these people infiltrate where they can find vulnerability.
Yeah.
And she did a good job. God love her. She did a good job. And I can only now say that in hindsight. But this woman blighted my life for many years. And I was a wreck. I was an absolute mess. I was so fragmented. And I can't tell you, it was like it infiltrated every area of my life so subtly and so insidiously that I wasn't even aware it was there. But people would occasionally say to me, "Oh, you sound just like so and so," and I think, "Oh my God, what?" And even to the point where, and I apologize profusely to all of my Scorpio girlfriends, and you're all gorgeous. She was a Scorpio, so for years I would going, "Oh God, Scorpio, oh, don't come near me." It affected me that badly, and this person. But one
So
day,
this time of year it could also remind you of her then.
oh, totally. She was
Around
born on
some-
today. Her birthday was
Oh my
November the
God.
1st. And yeah, woo, tingles all over. And so the intelligent water in my system is now responding. And in actual fact, as a person, as you know, Louisa, who talks to dead people all the time, dead people, I say, she's kind of, her energy's around me now. But it's so much so that it's like, no, you're my peer now. I'm not below you. You don't have a hold over me. I am here and you're here at my invite. And it's like quite a funny situation now, because it doesn't happen a lot. But when I have actually asked her from the other side, and I said to her, "What was that all about? Why did you do that? Why did you?" Because she once said to me, "Do you think you'd ever be where you are today?" And I didn't know where I was, but I said, where would you be without me? You would never have got this far. And I said, well, maybe I would, but I'd have got there a little bit slower, and I wouldn't have left two-thirds of me behind. Because it was,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? It's like it was talk about the thunderbolt path of karma, the lion path. Meeting her at the age of 17 put me on that path, and at an accelerated rate of knots. And I went through it almost as if I was disjointed, and I have had to since go back and collect all those fragmented pieces of my heart, my soul, my family, everything that it affected everything. It was like the ink stain on my life, couldn't get rid of it. And, it was amazing, because one time I moved into a small village in Wales before I moved to the one I'm at now. And a friend of mine who had also been badly affected by this person in her life, she was absolutely, and at one point I decided I was going to, I had to face my fear. I had to face my nemesis. And if you can imagine being a little tiny child, and there's this great big monster or this person that's really overpowering, and you're quaking, and you're having to go, I've got to tell you, I don't like you, and then run. It was that terrifying. I felt quite ashamed, because I was a woman, for God's sake. But inside, that part of me that she triggered was still that tiny child, that young woman that daren't say boo to a goose. And I did this on several occasions, and I faced it. And then she tried to come back into my life, and I could feel it. And every time I got stronger, and every time I allowed her in, the feeling in me was, no, you don't. No, I'm not having this. I still daren't tell her. And then one day I did. And she phoned me out of the blue, and it was all very bossy. And, "Oh, I'm coming over to darling, 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 Oh, darling, love bombing, and then taking the love away and throwing you for a loop. And then it was like, darling, I'm coming over. Blah, blah, blah. So I said, oh, that's not convenient. She went, it was like I'd slapped her in the face with a wet kipper. I said, what do you mean it's not convenient? So I said, I need some time. I need some space. And it was as if, I'd knocked her into the middle of the next dimension, which I probably had. And then she tried about a day later. Oh, you didn't get back to me. So I said, no, I'm trying to be authentic. Do you know, that's as honest as I could get without quaking in my shoes. But I absolutely high-fived myself for standing up and saying, inside, no more. I've had enough. Interestingly, Kim, my husband now, did not like this person from day one. He said, don't like her. What are you doing with her? And I'm like, God, I wish I'd met you 60 odd years ago, or however long it was, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, it turns out then one day I was walking around Oswestry Street, little market town near us, Sarah. And I walked into this shop and this woman was walking out, stared me in the face and walked straight past me, didn't even recognize me. It was her. She didn't even know me. And I just looked and thought, you have no power over me.
Yeah.
And that
She
felt
wasn't
so
she wasn't attracted to that energy
She certainly
that you
wasn't.
were being.
Oh, that showed me so much. I was invisible to her. And then, of course, the old me would go, oh, she's on a higher level than me, so she can't possibly see me. And then I thought, no, I've ascended. She hasn't.
Yeah.
And years later, she was still doing what she did to other people. And I'd moved on, way moved on. But one day I was talking to one of the people she'd affected. And I said, look, and this person actually fell out with me because I'd started speaking to her again. And she said, I don't want her anywhere near. She was so terrified of this woman. Don't bring her anywhere near me. And I can't see you because you're seeing her. And I said, look, I love you and I respect your choice, but I've got to do this for me. I have to know I can stand up to her and not be rocked. And so that happened. And then years later, this other friend, we got in touch again. And I said, I never meant to hurt you, you know, I was only trying to self-protect. And in blocking, I learned as well that blocking sometimes is necessary, because when you've moved on energetically in your frequency for quite a way and other people are standing still, you don't have the right to drag them forward with you. You know, if they're not ready, they're not ready. You know, people will only heal when they're ready to heal. And as was the case with me, and I knew how painful it had been being dragged on somebody else's journey. Having said that, taking full responsibility for my part in this scenario, in this play that I call my life, I also one day sat down and I just thought about it and thought, hang on, you know, I've got a part to play here as well. She's not the Kraken, you know, well, she is, but
Yeah.
What's my part? You know, I've got to get some balls and I've got to stand up and go, hey, I'm a woman, you know, stop this. So I talked to this friend and she really got it. And I said, you know, and what I did for me, I did for all of you who were affected by her. And I said, she has no power. You know that, don't you? And she said, yeah, I do. This woman even tried having all sorts of illnesses to try and bring people in again. It's like casting the tentacle out here and there. And, oh, I've got this, I've got that. Oh, you don't care because you don't love me. I once travelled from where I lived on the East Coast all the way to Wales, a single parent, with this bloody crystal, because she was dying again. She was dying again. She died a lot of times, you know. And I travelled to Wales, where she was at the time living, all on my own with this bloody crystal, because she needed healing and because to show her how faithful and loving I was. And all she said was, oh, if you really cared, you'd leave me that crystal. And then she said to another friend, if you really loved me, you'd give me your house, not just rent it to me. She was a horrible bitch. But at the same time, she played her part. And years later, down the line, when I'd grown up a bit and taken responsibility for myself, I remember just sort of talking to somebody and I said, you know what? I said, I reluctantly admit this, but she was my best teacher, because I now know how to discern. I can smell BS a mile off. I can see a narcissist coming from, you know, over the horizon. And I'm like, no, I either can block, and I feel good about blocking because I am not having my energy affected by that anymore, ever again, ever, not even in the next life. So I think that it's good to block. It's good to stay blocked if you feel to stay blocked, because they may not have moved on. If those people energetically have moved on slightly, they will get why you blocked them, and they will be able to be worked with, and you can work that through. And
saying, I think I met this woman, and I think probably everybody that is listening has met this woman at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, do you know, it's so common. And do you know, this is the thing. They isolate you so
Yes.
that you feel you're the
Wow.
only person in the whole universe that's ever had this. And there was nobody I could tell or talk to about it, because I thought, and what was worse was it was all tangled up with the spiritual path.
Yes.
And
Yes. All of mine have been as well. Funny enough.
Insidious to the nth degree. Now, the kind of conclusion to this, because it was a happy ending, was it was like I decided one day that I can't remember what I was doing, but I was having a little bit of a moment, and something came on the radio, because also this person could be incredibly funny. We had some really fun times too, and that was the twister, because it was like the confusion. It's like being in a spider's web and then going, oh, it's okay, I'm not going to hurt you, but knowing full well that they've got the venom to kill you if they choose to.
Yes.
And you're caught in their snare. And they don't ever think that you're going to kind of improve yourself and be able to stand up to them. That's what they're banking on. So one day
or
I
resist
sat
their
down.
humor.
Yeah, exactly, Sarah. That's right. Because it was like, oh, if that's not working, I'll just be funny. You know, I'll just be this, I'll be that. And I realized that I'd given far too much of my energy and my life to this energy, to this woman and this person. And I'm thinking, anyway, so then I heard one day somebody rang me and said, oh my God, you know, guess what? So-and-so's passed. And I just went, oh, okay. And it was like really unfazed by it. About a day later, I sat down and I tuned into her, and I just said, I know that you can hear me, and I know that you're around, and I just want to know why. And I cannot begin to tell you what I felt, and I can't, again, like Sarah's saying, can I come on and say this stuff because there'll be people watching? I have to tell you, this is my authentic story and how I felt, because I absolutely felt such a great love from this woman and to her. And I said, I'm tingling now, I'm feeling really
Me
emotional. I
too.
said, thank you. Thank you. I didn't thank you when you were here. I hated you with a passion. I wanted you dead. I wanted you out of I even had hypnotherapy to try and get her out of my system. And it didn't work, because I had to go to the point within me where my heart was ready to go, you're strong enough now, let go.
Okay.
And then look back and see who she really is. And other people have had a major problem with this, but that's their problem, because I've made my peace. And I just talked to her and I said, why? Well, what was the point of all of that? And she said, I loved you that much that I played that big a part in your life, because you asked me to strengthen you. You asked me to show you all the things that you learned from my having been in your life. They weren't good lessons. They weren't good. They weren't, you know, I didn't come with angel wings. I didn't come with fluffy bunnies. I didn't come with a strawberry face. I came with every facet of darkness, and I actually made you face your own darkness. And are you proud of yourself? Because you're amazing. And I just sat there and I tingled and I sobbed and sobbed, and I went, oh my God. And she said, I did it because I loved you that much, not because I hated you, because nobody else would volunteer. And she said, and my job was done, and I did a good job, didn't I? And I just said, yes, you did. And what catalyzed that meeting was I heard on a radio an old Elvis song that is it's not one of the popular ones, but no, it wasn't. It was Loving You.
Oh.
And it was one of her songs that she had as a youngster from a boyfriend. And she always used to sing it, say, oh, I wonder where he is now. And we used to sing it together. And that song came on the radio, and I hadn't heard it forever. And I just knew it was her talking to me. And I've made my peace with this person and that energy. And I have taken that on board now and said, right, all those lessons, thank you for. I hated your guts at the time and I wanted you dead. But my God, thank you. What a teacher.
That, I mean, that is incredible. It's a really great sharing. I really love that last bit. You know, like you asked me to strengthen you and to face your darkness. I mean, I'm guessing that was her spirit that you were talking to, like the
absolutely,
like when she was there, she didn't realize she was consciously playing.
Yeah, because I said to her in her spirit spirit form, I said, "Are you sorry for?" Because I wanted her to apologize. I wanted her to say, "I'm sorry, I've done it," because she never, ever, ever once said sorry in her whole life to any of us, you know. I said, "Are you sorry?" And she went, "Why would I be? I played my part. I did my job. I did what you asked me to do. So why would I be sorry for that? I'm glad I did it because look at you now. You're beautiful." And I was like, yeah, but
That's amazing.
yeah, but no." And honestly, I still feel that to this day. I genuinely do. So
Sorry,
yeah.
I raised my eyebrow as you said I'm beautiful, and it's not because of that, because I think you are beautiful. I was like,
Oh,
considering it for myself. I'm sure
yeah.
Sarah's got quite a lot that you want to ask from your access consciousness and from your sort of channeled approach. I just want to quickly acknowledge some of the things that are coming in from people as well, because Owen saying it must be the season for it, Sarah. I received a friend request from someone who brought harm into my life. They only sent the request as I have a new Facebook profile. Vivian is saying, I believe some of our original soul group love us so much that they, oh wow, that they agree to come to Earth on this trip.
Yes.
Our enemy.
Yes.
That's what we need to learn this time. I mean, that is a tough thing to do, isn't it?
Wow.
Ola from Campo, that's Carl. Vivian is also saying it doesn't make it any easier to love them while it's happening. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And part 3, and then there are just the dickheads we have to deal with for whatever reason. Carl saying, I think I've met this woman. He's also saying riveting. So that brought up quite a lot for me. Sarah, what's
Well,
Jade
do you want to go first, or do you want? Because it doesn't matter to me. I feel
okay.
like it's your turn.
Oh, thank you. Bless you. I think one of the things that really came up as a point that I've got from both of you so far is that with a lot of these people, like we block or try to protect ourselves and we're harboring them, and it feels like we can't tell our story because we're isolated.
Yes.
And there's this sense that when they pass away, all of a sudden everything can come out. And I noticed that, you know, like when certain well-known like politicians and actors and stuff like that pass away, often there's a flurry of stories that come out about what are, you know, all the horrible things they did and that people were covering up. Like, you know, Jimmy Savile, nobody said boo to a goose while he was alive, or very few people did. And then all of a sudden, loads of information comes out about him. Do you know who he is, Sarah? I mean, coming from Canada.
No, I don't think so.
He was one of Britain's most prolific paedophiles.
Oh,
and he
okay.
was celebrated as, you know, a protector of children and things like that.
Okay.
But I mean, that's a whole other story. But, you know, like there's this sense that when people die, it's okay to reveal what might have happened.
Yes.
And I also think we've got the challenge of, I wonder if I can face life while they're still alive. I wonder if there's a possibility. And that's what's going on for you, Sarah. Like you said earlier this month, you said, bring it on. I'm ready to face stuff.
Yeah.
Show yourself.
Bell. Ding dong. Hello, Sarah. You called?
Yes. You requested me in your life again.
I'm wondering. I had three women almost in succession. 2 of them are still here, very much here, and one of them has since passed. And I felt very much taught a lesson. They all at some point reached out for me for help, which I just love to do anyway. And
that's how it starts.
Yeah. And
I've got a black ladybird has just landed. Black ladybird. I'm like, oh, hello, you're here again. Sorry, Louisa.
Because it is women's issues, isn't it? Like, I mean, for me, it's nearly always with women. And, you know, it might be more interesting to look at, okay, so who was the first female archetype that whatever was going on with these 3 women that was somehow residing in my psyche, something I couldn't reach or understand about myself. And, you know, so there's, you know, a much bigger story. But one of the things that I realized was there was I was left with this feeling that there wasn't a sisterhood. Because like when these 3 women who were all older than me reached out to me for help, they all you know, all 3 of them were on their own, needed help physically, and they seem to kind of have a sort of motherly, daughterly kind of connection with me.
Yeah.
And I've always just done my very best to help these people. I've never tried to piss them off, or, you know, and it takes a lot for me to open myself up fully. I much prefer to help, because that way, I don't know, I much prefer to help rather than ask for help, put it that way. And it's very, very rare for me to ask for any help from anyone. And so as these relationships were developing, when one of them offered help, you know, for a long time, I was like, no, it's fine. I'm great. Thanks. And after a while, you know, you can't refuse other people's help. And that's where I got stuck every single time. There's somebody offering help, and then when I take the help that's offered, they then and it was out of nowhere, and it felt like a slap in my face. There was this, how dare you take this help from me? From all three of them. And it was really, really bizarre, because there was this implication that I deliberately tried to steal, take, hurt them. And, you know, I was always really, really shocked by it. It seemed to come out of nowhere. And, you know, like you were saying, Jay, you know, what you've learnt that you were in these situations to practice strength. I think I've had what was my part in this. I think I have not been able to ask for help for years and years and years, and I've been afraid of accepting help, because I realized early on in my life that the moment you accept help, you almost have to take other people's guidance. You know, all this help. I guess what I learned early on is when you get help, it's at a cost. And I always decided early on that I never wanted that cost. And I think that's why I've gone through life not accepting help and doing everything my own way, even if it was harder. And so these three women gave me a really quick, hard slap on the face. And I was left thinking, shit, what did I do? Pulling my own psyche apart, thinking, how was I responsible? What did I do? How could I have done it any differently? What did I do wrong? And started to go down this spiral of being bad. I must be a really bad person. I must be awful, blah, 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 blah. But what I later learned is that not one, not two, but all three of them have got a history of the same thing with other people. So I think I have had this, and bless these people, because like with your story, it really resonated with me that maybe there are people that come in, and I'm guessing I'm going to be a darkness for other people. You know, these women might have the same story about me, and like if I die before they do, they might call me up and say, you did this and you did that. So it's left me in quite an interesting conundrum. But suffice to say, I'd been harboring it because I hadn't been able to process it, and because I was in these stories, I felt there was a lot of shame put on me. Like, how dare you behave like this? Just wait till I tell your father, kind of thing, or just wait till I tell everyone in the local environment what you've been doing. Then you'll find out how popular, you know, that kind of thing. Loads of threats, really horrible threats. All three of them. And I caved, and I didn't do anything. I just sat with it, not knowing. Interestingly, I haven't actually dealt with it. I dealt with it with one person. I stood up for myself, and actually it made it much worse, really much worse.
You know, that's that's one of the things that stops you doing it, because you know that is as weak as you're feeling, even when you try and stand up, you know that their venom is going to really reduce you to a puddle. And that's what happened with me many times. Even when I tried to say to this lady, you know, well, you know, I could see through some of her stuff, but she had it so well hidden. And later found out about her family issues and all her childhood stuff, you know, but that would never ever be presented on the plate. We were all expected to be as raw and vulnerable and open as an open wound. But yet she hid behind everything. And the reason she knew all of our stuff was because it was her. And it took me years to realize that. I'm like, bloody hell, of course that's how she knew. But she never admitted it. but she wasn't supposed to,
Yes.
That's the way it
Big,
was.
big stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't had any more women come into my life.
Yeah.
And then
We
I
won't
think,
hurt you, promise.
well, I mean, what would be really nice is to have friendships where you can say, look, we might hurt each other, but it's never going to be my intention to cause you any
Yeah.
harm. And
Yeah.
if we can have an open conversation, and if I get the chance to just say, look, I honestly didn't realize I was hurting you, and it's the furthest thing from my thought, and how
Yeah.
can we get this right? That will always be my lead intention. And it's very rare, I find, maybe because I'm not very I don't trust that many people. I find it's very rare that I have friendships with people like that I can say that with, but it's something I'm going to practice.
That's wonderful, Louisa. And that just, if I can just quickly say as well, that makes me feel, I mean, I went through that, and I actually, after my encounter with this woman, never trusted women. And so girlfriends that I made it subsequently would say, oh, come along to my so-and-so, we're having a women's gathering. I'm like, no, you're all right, thanks. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
really totally did not like women. Just didn't trust them at all.
Yeah.
Didn't trust men either, but they were the lesser of the two evils. And it was ages and ages before I dared to trust one or two people. And I've now got a couple of girlfriends over here that we've worked through stuff together because we've had similar things. And those people I really do trust. And both of those have helped me out in major ways financially, actually, when I needed it the most. And they've both been paid back as soon as possible. But the point is, I had to learn to allow that kindness to come in without there being any strings, because one of the things this woman did at one point in my evolution was to get another friend who had just inherited some money to send me £1,000 when I was on the uppers in living in Yorkshire. And so I got this money and thought, oh my God, I can't take this. And I wrote back and said, no, I can't take this shit. No, it's a gift. And blah, blah, blah. I knew it was coming from the other one. She'd said, you need to do this with your money. Control. A week later, after I'd put this thing in the bank thinking, well, I'm not going to do anything with it because I knew this score, I got a letter back, a nasty vitriolic letter. How could you possibly? How dare you give her that money back? Yeah. So I sent the check back. I said, I'm really sorry. It's not worth it. I don't want the attachments with it.
Yeah.
So again, every area of your life where you're supposed to be able to allow that goodness in was tainted. So I just went into this little space where I was living this tiny little life, feeling really isolated and unseen, and didn't show myself either, because it was like, if you show yourself and your vulnerability, you're going to get kicked senseless anyway. So what's the bloody point?
It's really interesting. Like, I want to find out your thoughts, but I just wanted to say something first, so if that's all right. It's interesting what you were saying about. Oh God, I've just lost the thought now. Oh, do you know what? It has to go.
It
Sarah.
has, yes.
Come on. Okay. Well, the only when you were talking, Jay, about the strings that are attached.
Oh yeah.
It's like how you. So have you got it now, Louisa? Do you want to?
No,
okay.
I love the strings.
So if there's strings attached, and you could feel it sometimes you can feel, even though the person is like, no, this is a gift. Because I can think of a time when somebody gave me, I was in, basically homeless and trying to get into this apartment, and I needed money for down sort of a security deposit for the power, which I didn't have that much money. And they were like, no, take it. I said, I can't afford it. I'm going to. And then they were like, take it. Well, I said, well, I will pay you back. And then when I tried to pay them back a few months later, no, it was a gift. It was a gift. When the reality is, 2 years later, after this person was no longer in my life, they said, oh, well, we have the business of the money you owe me.
Yes.
After I had tried to pay this person back. And I was like, okay. Love light, but you are a spineless. I had a lot of opinions about that, and then it was like, no, I won't take it. I totally get what you're both saying about worrying about the strings that are attached to somebody saying, I would like to help you. Because if you've had somebody come back and say to you, oh, well, I did this for you. It's like, I asked you if you needed anything at the store when I went to the store, And you went to the store the other day and you never even asked me what I might
Absolutely.
need.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is. It's that hook. It hooks in. And what they do is what I also realized was it's like I think I'm a naturally kind person. I like to think I am anyway.
You
I'll do
are so
things for
kind.
anybody.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I yeah, of course I will, you know, but they hook in. They know how to hook into that kindness gene that we all have. And it's that bit because it's like, oh, and this happened recently actually with my I call her my Russian stepmother. People who know me know this story. My stepdad passed away, and he was another one of my nemesis. Bless his heart, but you know, I kind of loved him as well. But anyway, she didn't, you know, he married this woman, this Russian woman, about 30 odd years ago, and to all intents and purposes, I didn't even exist, you know. And she spoke to my sister and my brother occasionally, but then when he passed, you know, there was some information she needed to get more money out of the deal because she's really into money. And the only person that had that information, because I was old enough to remember these certain things, was me. So she kind of wheedled her way around ringing me. Oh, hello, and and I could sense, oh, it's her again. She's back again, you know, my nemesis. And I just was on the alert anyway.
Yeah.
However, I gave her the benefit of the doubt because I'm kind, you know, and I still hadn't learned. And after a few weeks, I realized this woman was absolutely draining the life out of me because it would be a phone call. Then it'd be, oh, I'll just call you on so and so. I just need some more information. Oh, can I send you a gift? Then the gifts would come. And I'm like,
Oh my
oh,
God.
God, no, not the gift. Please don't, you know.
Creating obligation.
Not the
with you.
gifts.
Not the bloody gift. I don't
They
need
are.
it. If I can't get it myself, I don't need it, you know. But
Yeah.
again, I was thinking, oh, that's kind of her. And then something else and something else. And eventually I thought, hang on, I'm waking up in the morning feeling like shit because I'm anticipating another 2.5 hour conversation because you could not get off the phone from this
Yeah.
woman. 2.5 hours of my life. And I'm thinking, I don't want to talk about the things she talks. She's not in it the least bit spiritual. She's racist. She doesn't like people. She's absolutely materialistic. She loves money, loves things. And I'm thinking, so why, Jay, are you still giving her your energy and time?
Yeah. And why is it? I mean, what what part of you is wanting to do that, Jay? I mean, that's what I think. What part of me was like doing the games I was playing?
Well, I just put it down to when I actually sat myself down one morning and said, right, and it took a few weeks to wean myself off it. I realized that I was frightened of hurting her, but ultimately frightened of me being hurt. I was frightened of offending her, but I didn't want her to, you know, it was all about me. It was an inside job. But I realized that, and I talked to Benjamin about this, our lovely Ben, so he knew, and I was trying to talk to everybody to justify why I should block her out of my life. And I've had to do that because she isn't remotely interested in anything I have to say on any level. She just wants to talk at me and be my friend. And I haven't chosen her. And I'm thinking one day, I thought, hang on, you didn't even know I existed for 30 years. And suddenly I'm a commodity to you. And that's what it was. And I still wanted a mummy figure because I was missing my mum. And I've never had a mother me. Many of us haven't. My mum was present. She was there, but she was absent the whole time. She was present all the way through my life. So I didn't have that loving connection of a protective mom. And I think that was my bit. And this is why the other one got in, because I was still looking, even until a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, the penny's finally dropped. I am my own project. I am my own mother. You know, I am my purpose and nothing else, you know, and I'm having to try and live that one every day. It's not there yet, but you know, I am my own purpose and I choose my life and I choose to be happy in it, you know. So she's weaned off now. I don't even give her a second thought. It's like, no, take your presents, take your money. Well, not money. She never gave money. Oh, it would have been nice actually, because she had plenty of it.
Yeah.
So Jay, you're talking just there's so many things that are coming up in my own like with your talk. I mean, I really I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I know you do.
The idea of I just have a question for you. Like, do you feel like in some way where it's kind of told to us, you lead by you lead by example, or
Yeah.
you live your life as an example. And
Yeah.
so then you're sort of putting up with crap as a
Yeah.
result of trying to lead by example. So you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I really want to like pummel this person across the chops, but
Yeah.
instead I'm going to do them a favor
Yes.
so I can like, because I'm trying to lead by example, and it's like, no, I don't want to turn into that person that oppressed me. So therefore I'm going to be kind
Yeah.
when I actually want to tell this person off.
Yeah.
But there
Yeah.
is a point, and this is where when you finished off and you said, I am my own purpose.
Mm.
To me, that really resonates with me, because
Mm.
if you include yourself in the equation, would we really, any of these times in the past, Louisa's stories, your stories, I mean, and I'm sure the people in the chat have
Yeah, I'm
their own
sure.
stories too, but anytime you don't include yourself in the equation of kindness,
Mm.
then it's not a true kindness.
Absolutely.
So this
Yes.
favor,
So spot on.
this favor that we think we're doing for someone,
Yeah.
if we're actually not being kind to ourselves while we do it. Jay,
Yeah.
you're driving across the country to take
Mm.
a crystal to this woman. Maybe you
Yeah.
didn't have the money for the gas. Maybe your
Yeah.
car was like on its last
Mm.
legs. Maybe you were
Absolutely.
supposed to be somewhere else, but
Yeah.
yet we still go and do this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what the motivation could be. It could be because we want to teach. We want to
Mm.
show these people there's a different way. I mean, I know in my own case, I've felt like that before. But
Mm.
you can't, there are some of these things that just can't be done that way,
Yeah.
and we learn
Yeah.
that we can't do them. But
Totally.
it's just this, if you don't include yourself, then it's not kind.
Yeah.
It has to
Absolutely
be a
get it.
kindness. And the deal is over. And this is the other thing. Someone does you a favor, or somebody does something nice for you. So we know that sometimes there's strings attached, and sometimes it's just because they truly just want to do something nice for you, because
Yeah.
it would feel great to them to do that, and that's
Yes.
what they're getting. So
Yeah.
when I do something nice for somebody, um, it has to be because it makes me feel good to do that thing,
Mm.
and the deal's done. The deal and
Yes.
deliver's done.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
owe them; they don't owe me. But
Absolutely.
there are that it does exist, that so I can say, if I do something for someone and I expect something back,
Mm.
then those are the kind of people that are going to do me favors too.
Yeah, exactly.
They're
And
gonna
you know what? And as a result of that, I now say to anyone I do anything for, and I think about it first, why are you doing this, Jay? And
Mm.
always it comes back to, because I get something out of it. Because this is for me. I'm
Yes.
being selfish. I want to give you this thing because it makes me feel good.
Yes.
End of.
exactly.
You don't owe me anything. And
Yeah.
and I'm very clear about that now,
Hmm.
which is brilliant because I never was before. So all of this
Hmm.
made me much sharper and much more clear about where I am and who I am and what I'm giving and why I'm giving it, even because a lot of my kindness in the old days, yeah, it might have been kindness then because I didn't know any better, but it was also out of my need, but it
Mm.
was unacknowledged need, you
Well,
know?
how do I get this thing that I need?
Exactly.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I I'm still, I mean, I'd be lying if I said that I don't think about what it is I need.
Yeah. But we
Um,
do. It's natural.
we're not walking around going, okay, somebody hook in. I've got supply here. I
Yeah.
don't need any. I don't need anything back. I mean, I do need stuff back. We all do.
Absolutely. Of
Yes.
course, it's always a two-way road, even when you're giving I don't, you see, I don't believe there's such a thing as unconditional love on this planet at this time.
Yeah, I don't
I
think so
believe that it's possible and I believe in it, but I
either.
don't think it's like in the density that we're still in and moving out of, it's not really there. People talk about, oh, I unconditionally love you. I'm like, no, you bloody don't.
No, you don't.
Look a bit deeper. Be
I love
more
that.
honest.
I
Um,
believe in it, but I think it's beyond relationships.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Yes, me
I love
too.
that. I've just absolutely loved this conversation so much, and we are going to have to wrap up soon.
Yeah.
Before we
Oh my
do,
God.
I just want to I do
feel
want
like
to
we
check
get
in.
started.
Like we've heard that like Jay, you've had a happy outcome from your interaction with this
Yeah,
person. You've like gone through quite a big change because of this. I would like to touch in with you, Sarah, and find out like what has happened. How are you, like what state are you in now after your interaction?
It's dissipated something that
Yeah.
existed in me that I wasn't aware was still a trigger for me.
Mhm.
Like this person's name triggered me. That it
Yeah.
even, like all these little random things, and I'd be like, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. I mean, all that
Oh
stuff was
God,
still
yeah.
existing in me,
Mm.
and I didn't know. I mean, you can't put your finger on it at the time, but the fact that this person showed up the night of the eclipse, and then I had this realization that it wasn't about who they are, who their spirit is, or anything. It
Mm.
was a part that they were playing that actually helped me, but it didn't feel like help at the time. At the time, it felt like they were harming me.
Yeah.
And looking back, as you can do when you're out of a situation, like you can only really see it in its totality, maybe not always, but you're more apt to see it in its totality after you're out of it, right?
Yes.
Because you don't know you were being abused if you're still being abused. You still think you can work something
Yeah.
out with that. You don't know that this is a toxic relationship if you're still in said toxic relationship,
Yeah.
because you don't want to think you're stupid.
Yeah.
Or like, I wouldn't stay in a toxic relationship. No
Oh
way.
yeah, yeah.
No. But because you think you can still work with something and you can
Mm.
still make a difference and do something. So for me, it literally took this thing that was hidden and dense, and it blew it up,
Mhm.
and now it doesn't exist anymore.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
what happened.
Brilliant.
That's
Fantastic.
amazing.
It doesn't
Supernova.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't exist. It's like, oh
Oh,
my God, I don't feel any space. Now, I want to say really quickly, we know, I say I know that I'm supposed to forgive, and that forgiveness sticks the person that doesn't forgive more than the person that's not forgiven. And I know that through all of these things that I've read, and like Jay said, like I went and had hypnotherapy. I've gone, I've
mm.
done everything except cut off an appendage
Yeah,
to like
yeah.
get rid of it. And, and it's like I can't do any more work. But
Mm.
what I got out of this, you can't work for this. You
Yeah.
can't work to get it.
Yeah.
It has to
Yes,
show up.
it does.
It
Yes.
has to
Wow.
just be like,
Yeah.
and so it started with me trusting that I would know what to do. Yes, I
Mm.
initially reacted, and did the whole thing that I've done for 22 years, like over and over every time.
Yeah.
And then I asked a question of how is this for me and not to me?
Mm.
How is it
Yes.
for me? And then that's when it
Yes.
showed up, when I asked the
Yes.
question, because I didn't have the possibility of it being anything else other than what I had convinced myself it was for 22 years. I
Oh
will
my
hold this in
God.
place because
Yes.
I know what this person did, and I know
Yeah.
how it affected me, and
Yeah.
I know it was wrong, and I know they're like this and that. Um, but none
Wow.
of that was actually required to give me the boot to the head so that I would exit something that wasn't working for me.
Yeah.
I had to blow it up and
Mhm.
see
Yeah.
it as the whole picture, not the individual details of who did
Yes.
what. I had to
Yes.
look at the whole picture. And so now it's like, yes, it's just I made it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then poof.
Yeah.
And
That's amazing.
it hasn't happened to me hardly ever that I've
Mm.
managed to have something like this take place. And
Mm.
I think it's fantastic. Like,
Oh,
It is.
uh,
absolutely. I do. I do too.
It is
And what you
amazing.
said there, it's like, what is it? Is it for me or to me?
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
difference, such a difference.
How is
You
this
know?
for me and not to
Yeah.
me?
got to me. And
Really,
that
really good.
is, I think that comes to us at the point when we're ready to explode the myth of what we think is the truth. And then our real truth, the authentic us and the authentic situation can take over and start to place itself in our hearts, in our cells, in everything. And all of this is, I feel, has led me to a path of greater authenticity in myself, because I now kind of feel like I can say anything and do anything, and I'm not going to worry about what people think about me or whether they'll take their love away from me, because that's only ever going to come from me, you know. Yeah.
Oh my God, ladies, we are going
I've
to
loved this. I've loved all of this. Thank
and
you.
I think we should come back here. And Carl suggested a new show to me recently, and we had a few goes of it.
Oh, wow.
And we've got sound effects and stuff. So he's saying, when does the Own Your Own Shit show begin on this channel? So what we're doing is having a couple of breakout shows every now and again, a bit like a wild card. And so Carl was playing it like being the game show host, and he was like, tell me your sad story, Louisa. And as I started telling, he got his bell out or similar, and he was like, I'm gonna stop you there. This is about owning your shit. And so I think it's going to be great. Actually, I think it's going to be really hilarious.
I love that.
I mean, it was done in such a fun way, and I think if we're open to laughing at ourselves, I'm sure Carl will like sit with me, and if he can be bothered, and to watch through what I said earlier and say, oh, you need to own your shit a bit harder there. Hang on a sec.
Can I say one thing, Louisa, real quick? The minute that you ask a question about something and say, how is this to my benefit? What's right about this I'm not getting? How is this for me and not to me? As soon as you do that, you can't be a victim.
No.
So that
You
is when you
can't be
start
in
owning your
victim
shit.
mode and ask that question at the same time. You literally are exiting from victim mode. And how much do we love to hang on being the victim? I mean,
yeah. Joan of
when I've
Arc,
got
you
that
know.
story, you did this to me, and I had to like sleep on a piss stained cot for like a month in an apartment with no heat, you know, on and on. But it's like you have to remove
Oh my
that.
God. Oh, it's so when you put humor in as well. I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the way that a lot of people can laugh and kind of learn together. I guess not taking ourselves so seriously, because all of these things do feel like it's a serious attack, and it does feel like it's a serious attack. But like you said with your friend who's passed, you know, they showed up to help you face your darkness. So we're just going to end with some of the comments, because we have some great ones in. Pete is saying, unfortunately, some people from a very early age find a role as a victim and revel in it and feel bereft when there is no drama.
That was me.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't really like drama, but I have found myself in a few dramas.
Yeah.
But all of the women around me that I mentioned have a real penchant for good drama. I tend to avoid drama.
Do you know, can I just say why that is? I realized years later, I used to look down on people who were doing drugs and fags and everything else. I was like, I don't have any addictions and I'm a strong woman. I was addicted to adrenaline because I'd been raised in an adrenaline fueled family and I couldn't get off it. And that is a chemical that you don't need to be addicted to. Yeah, that's
good
right.
Point. Carl is saying, we all seem to be a catalyst in each other's refinement. I would agree with that.
Yes.
Maybe the more dysfunctional and demonic our niceness. This is a good question. I wish I'd got to this earlier. Maybe the more dysfunctional and demonic our niceness and inauthenticity is, the more others are attracted to work on us. Because that's one thing I've realized. Like, the thing that you said, Sarah, at 55 minutes, I've written it down because I'm going to do a little short of it, where you said, if you include yourself in the equation with kindness, like if you're not including yourself in the equation and you're doing something to help someone, it's not coming from the right place, you know.
Well, you're just their bitch.
Yes, you're just their bitch. And you're not doing yourself a kindness. And that's one of the things I realized. And I think that's what Carl means when he says, maybe the more dysfunctional and demonic our niceness and inauthenticity is. I didn't realize I wasn't being inauthentic or like demonically nice.
Well, we don't
actually,
do we?
I mean, many times with each of these people, I was doing things, but not including I was doing kindness to them, but not including kindness in my own equation. And that was my choice to do that. But I couldn't at that time see that that was niceness or inauthenticity. So like, that's my learning now. That's my red flag. You know, I love that question. I might flip in, print it out and get it mounted. I'll get it done in brass or something, hang it on the wall. You know, am I including kindness in this equation to me right now? Because if I'm not, then that is a red flag that I am doing it for somebody else, and that's not in balance.
And actually what that does is it neutralizes the whole thing anyway. Nobody gets anything, really. You're not giving anything of value in a way, and they're not receiving anything of value in a way, you know, because
that's true.
Yeah.
And that might be why they always felt shortchanged with me.
Well, I've done it as well.
I was shortchanging myself. So that shortchanging energy was there. Maybe that's what. Who knows?
Who knows?
Great question, Cole. Thank you. Squire of the Shires is saying the shades of the soul and the rhythm of life. Yeah, really, truly. Benjamin's put a lot in. I think the phrase soulmate can also mean the person who comes to push us, who takes on the nasty role to show us something within us. They love us that much that they will play this role in this life.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, big question here, and it's a bit harder for a lot of people. Those people that are blowing each other up, or who are doing nasty things to people, poisoning people deliberately, making plans to like steal their life energy and stuff like that. You know, I mean, if we were to extend it that far, I mean, there may be lots of people in the political landscape and beyond that have come in to do the nasty role for humanity.
Well, it's definitely a role.
Yeah, it's definitely a role. Yeah, definitely.
And they're playing it well.
Yeah, they really are. They seem to be enjoying it as well. These souls are only showing us what's within us, not in a blaming way, but they couldn't be around us if we hadn't got the buttons for them to push. Perfect. Once we realize those triggers, they can't be around. Yeah, that's why I'm getting my plaque made.
Absolutely.
And that's what Jay did too.
Yeah.
You know, you release those triggers and you're like, no.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you can't do it until you're ready. You know, it doesn't matter. I say all the help that's available. There's some amazing help out there, and I had it all, you know, but I was not ready inwardly, which was the bit I needed to get to on my own, you know, but hey ho.
Lovely. I really like that. Really sure. I had this sort of like a kind of meme pop in my head, you know, where you see these like put your guns down. It's like put your buttons down, put your triggers down, let them go, and then there can't be that great big cosmic like gunfight. Pete's saying, hi there, Ben, hope you're well and battened down for approaching storms. Are there storms approaching up your neck of the woods and up towards?
Not yet. We haven't.
And Ben is also saying, they don't affect us in the same way. Obviously easier in theory than practically, but seen is so many times. I've seen this so many times in my own life. I think we are going to miss most of the storms up north, Solar Pete, but the southwest is going to be hit. So that's good. We recently had some friends over from the UK and learned quite a lot from them. Just observation of how much happier people generally are here. Your mindset can make any negative into a positive learning. And experience really does make that difference. Thank you for that. Bob saying thank you for your perspectives, Benjamin. And Bob is also saying include myself in the kindness. I can see you doing that actually, Bob. Pete is also saying there is a big difference between doing something nice that requires time, effort and thought and just the financial, and I suppose in a very large part due to the Spartan populace here, people are kind. Yeah, I do notice there's a lot of kindness. Ben is so many comments came in. This has really sort of brought up a lot. Ben is saying to Bob, thank you, but I'm learning all the time too. Haha. It's not self-blame. It's more a self-empowering statement, asking what is within me that wants this. Normally it's a self-worth thing. Absolutely. Benjamin's also saying that's right, Sarah. When we can say what's in this for me, it gives our power back and the situation can move on.
Yes.
Then there's Carl talking about the shit show. Own your own shit. Sorry. Ben saying, I love the own your own shit show. Maybe it could be called own your own shit show.
Yes. I love it.
Owen saying thank you ladies, great show. And
thank you, Owen.
Thank you all. Made me feel
Thanks,
a bit brighter.
Squire.
It looks
Thanks,
like it's
everyone.
going to be a fine day. Paz e amor, which is like peace and love. Wow, that was
Hey,
a
love it.
And the funny thing is, this morning on Facebook, I said this feels like sisterhood. You know,
Yeah.
this is what this is about. You know, us being
Yeah.
able to connect and be open about our shit and like show our shit.
Yes. Yeah.
We
It
started
really.
this show today.
Yeah, I've loved it. Thank you so much. And I think, you know, one thing I find is I love what I call a strong woman. I always thought my mum was a strong woman. And for years I was under the illusion because she told me she was, you know, and she was quite ballsy and she's feisty. But when it came to dealing with her husband, who beat her around for 20 odd years, you know, and frightened us children, she was a wimp. And it was only then that I saw what true strength was. And it's a woman who's owned her own shit, sorted her own life out, and is willing to share her vulnerability in a very kind, loving, strong way, and isn't afraid to say, hey, I've been a shit show myself. Here it is. You know, what it gets as bad as this. That's as bad as it gets, you know.
Wow.
I love you all for this. I think, bless you both. Thank you so much for including me. It's been great.
Thank you guys too. And thanks to everyone that's listened. And actually, thanks even more to those shitheads. No, to those thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Who've come to show us these. Yeah, really, really thank you. So much gratitude. I'm going to run the outro, but anyway, lots of love. Have a great rest of day. And
Yes, thank you, Jay. Thank
on
you.
Friday, I'm connecting in with Dee.
Lou.
Yeah, thank you. And on Friday, we've got a show at 5 minutes past 10, and I'm talking with Dee about loving kindness and her journey in loving kindness. And it's
we'll be there.
Quite an incredible story. She's an incredible woman.
Brilliant.
So please do join us on Friday. But anyway, love to you all. Bye for now.
Bye, darling.
Thank you. Bye.